So, this is not really the video that I thought I'd be making about the Montreal Canadiens, but this is about the Montreal Canadiens. It's about the Canadiens and the Caps as well, because when it comes to the Washington Capitals, a guy who has been part of their organization for years, a guy who ended up leaving and going over to Carolina, this is the end of an era for one Evgeny Kuznetsov. Now, the article you're looking at from Championat.com was from 2 days ago. This was published by Arena... Okay, bear with me here. Yakemchuk. I think it did a pretty good job there. Yakemchuk, and what they said here was that Evgeny Kuznetsov of the Carolina Hurricanes will return to Russia and sign a multi-year contract with SKA St. Petersburg. Now, the problem was, this article was published during a time when Kuznetsov was still with Carolina, and he had a year to go on the contract he was on. So when a report like this gets published online, it gets a lot of eyebrows raised, a lot of people become concerned, and they start asking, okay, wait a minute, is Evgeny Kuznetsov leaving the Hurricanes? He's signing a multi-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg? As Championat.com has learned, forward Evgeny Kuznetsov will return to Russia and sign a contract with SKA. The term of the agreement is 4 years. He was selected by the Washington Capitals in the first round of the 2010 NHL Entry Draft with the 26th overall pick. Kuzi played for Washington from the 2013-14 season, but spent his last season with the Carolina Hurricanes, where he had scored 24 points in 63 games played. Kuznetsov is a product of Chelyabinsk hockey and made his KHL debut with the Tractor team, scoring 167 points in 259 games. Kuznetsov currently has a valid contract with Carolina, which runs until the end of the 24-25 season. The deal will officially be announced after the hockey player resolves his contractual issues with Carolina. Not even like resolves or terminates his contract, resolves his issues with Carolina. That is an interesting way to put it. And you can see there are a bunch of comments here. Most of them, if not all of them, are in Russia, and yeah, a lot of people going out there talking about this. This was a really big news story, had a lot of reactions as well, 131 thumbs up and everything. So a lot of people were kind of intrigued as to this article's publication. Like, wait a minute, Kuznetsov is still signed on with Carolina. Is he going to leave? What's going to happen here? There actually was word from the agents yesterday on the 16th after this article was published saying, hey, Kuznetsov is still a part of Carolina. There are teams in the KHL that are interested in getting him, but for now, he's still a part of this NHL organization. But give it until today, 2 days after this report was released, and we have ourselves the Carolina Hurricanes officially announcing it that Kuznetsov is on unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract termination. He had 1 season remaining on his current contract. The Carolina Hurricanes have placed forward Evgeny Kuznetsov on unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract termination on Wednesday. Kuznetsov, 32, was acquired by the Canes on March 8th from the Washington Capitals in exchange for a third-round pick in the 2025 draft. Washington retained 50% of his salary as a part of the deal. Ultimately, both sides agreed this was the best course of action for both the player and the team. Canes GM Eric Tulsky said to Hurricanes.com, "We thank Evgeny for his time with the team and wish him and his family the best." Playing in 20 regular season games with Carolina, Kuznetsov produced 2 goals and 5 assists for a total of 7 points, and in the playoffs he had 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points in 10 games. The Chelyabinsk Russia native had 1 season remaining on his contract, carrying an AAV of $3.9 million for the Canes following Washington's retained salary. Included is the deadly shootout goal where Kuznetsov comes in and slithers his way to the front of the net. And ultimately, this is one of these things where when you hear or you smell smoke, you hear earlier on this guy's going to be leaving, he's going to go over to Russia, his career was already on the decline. If we go over to Kuznetsov and his overall profile here, I mean, I don't think anybody is too surprised to see this outcome, considering the decline in point production. I mean, he was a 70-point guy as far back as just 2 seasons ago, but last season already, he was getting a little bit pricey. 55 points in 81 games played for the guy making that cap hit wasn't the best, and then this previous season he really fell off a cliff. Only 17 points in 43 Washington Capitals games, 7 points in 20 games for the Canes. This point production, though, is actually pretty fine. 6 points, 10 games for a somewhat partially retained salary guy playing in the middle of the lineup. Not the worst in the world, but of course you want to see more out of Kuznetsov, and I think that Kuznetsov expects more out of himself as well. But ultimately, when you think about what Kuznetsov was, he is finished in the NHL. He had a good run, although he was never an analytics darling, probably one of those model-breaking playmaker guys. You can see here that his peak wins above replacement number was in 2021-2022. He was hovering around the 75%-ish mark, but really declined to a negative player towards the end of his NHL career. His defensive numbers were not great, but he was a pretty good playmaker and scorer. Ultimately, though, I think Kuznetsov, at 32 years old, he certainly is somebody who has some gas left in the tank. If that's going to be the way he goes out, he goes over to the KHL for 4 years, then okay, so be it. But the reason why I really like this move for Montreal specifically, not because Kuznetsov is heading over to the Habs, no. Because if you go over to one Ivan Demidov, who is going to be playing for SKA St. Petersburg, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to happening, I'm just saying that this is a great possibility. Ivan Demidov, playing for SKA St. Petersburg in 2024-2025, has the opportunity to be placed alongside Evgeny Kuznetsov, an already NHL-caliber playmaker who is just coming off of a really bad stint and a bad decline over the past year or so. This is a guy who was still able to get 43 assists in 81 games played last year. He was a half-assist a guy in the most previous season's worth of play beyond this one. So getting this kind of a player to set up shop alongside of Ivan Demidov, that is going to be great for Demidov's overall production. And the reason this is awesome for Montreal is because any kind of NHL playmaking that Demidov is used to playing alongside of will prep him for the NHL, it will prep him for the AHL, it's all good at Applewood. Now, I will say that probably the only concern in regards to this Demidov-Kuznetsov situation is, automatically, right away, Kuzi is going to be given top-line minutes. He's going to be the number one guy in SKA. That is absolutely not going to change. But for Ivan Demidov, because he's only 18, turning 19 years old, you could question whether or not he will actually be given a top spot with SKA. It's difficult for these Russian KHL teams to give immediate guaranteed ice time to younger players, and for Demidov, he had just been playing so well in the MHL and the VHL, but he had no points in the KHL this previously completed season. So whether or not that changes to a significant degree this upcoming season, that remains to be seen. I wouldn't be surprised if Ivan Demidov was placed in a high spot in the lineup because he's so good, but also I wouldn't be surprised if he just wasn't played. I mean, we had seen the Matvei Mishkov situation also round itself out in a similar way. The guy was loaned out to HC Sochi, he was playing well over there, but with SKA, he was not given any opportunities in that lineup. So for Ivan Demidov, hopefully he's got that opportunity to change that narrative. He's been a little bit more successful in junior leagues compared to Mishkov, so who knows where that's going to go, but either way, Demidov, Mishkov, these guys are both pretty good players, and Mishkov's unfortunate part in SKA St. Petersburg's organization does raise some red flags as to whether or not Demidov will be treated the same way. Although if he's not, if he is given top-line minutes and he plays with Evgeny Kuznetsov, that is going to be absolutely awesome. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Evgeny Kuznetsov leaving the Carolina Hurricanes, about him heading over to SKA St. Petersburg, and potentially how he can play with one Montreal Canadiens prospect, Ivan Demidov. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.